Hello, everybody. Scott Roberts here from Explore Scientific, and this is Explore Now. And I'm so happy this afternoon because I've got Dustin Gibson from OPT. This is the place where, this OPT has this incredible long history, and it's where I get my start in this industry. I worked there for 11 years, all in all, and when I was still a teenager, and I still feel like a teenager sometimes. But Dustin, how's it going out there? It's a very, very busy time in our industry. You must be exhausted.
We got a lot going on. I got to say, I'm really happy to have you on the controls on this one. I see you. I'm before this started, I'm laughing because I see you looking at all your different monitors,
Oh
and I
yeah,
know the
right.
feeling too well. But it's so nice to be on this side of it.
Yeah. It's like mission control in here. I've got big monitors, little
Yeah,
monitors, everything everywhere. And doing this,
I
it's like
know.
playing a juggling act. It really is. We're
I know. Trust me. I mean,
simulcasting.
we go live on Twitch every single night, and what happens behind the scenes? There's so much going on all the time
Oh yeah.
that I couldn't help but laugh when I saw you. You're looking all around, and I know you've probably got 12 monitors in there to make this happen.
I need more
Yeah,
monitors actually. And the work you do on Twitch. I mean, I really have to hand it to you. Plus, you do your podcast, Space Junk. But just watching what goes on Twitch. I mean, you have so many people visiting. You're bringing people on, kind of on the fly. Which is I think maybe you coach them a little bit. I mean, you had me saying, "Hey, would you come on Twitch with me?" But I it seemed like you were having people come on, just visitors that happened to be watching the show. So
yeah, zero coaching. Zero coaching.
yeah,
It was exactly like your experience. That's what it is for everybody. And even once the Twitch stream starts, we open it up for whoever's just watching to pop on, and we want it to really feel like a star party. If you're at a star party, you
hmm
don't have two people in front of everyone and everyone else in the shadows not talking.
right.
It's like it's a star party. Everybody can hang out and converse and have fun and share astronomy. And so the only way to really make it feel like that is if you want to stand up and say something, then you should be able to jump in and say it. So no, I mean, we
Right.
open it up to whoever wants to talk.
Right. Yeah. And you do get that feeling because you know, and it's cool. I mean, some of the programs you've had where you have really pretty young people, like kids, people under like 10 years
Yeah.
old, coming on, controlling your remote observatories, taking incredible images. I mean, images that just anybody would be thrilled at making. And then you just kind of guide them through the whole process of showing them how to do the image processing and everything. Within a few minutes, they've got this shot that just blows people's minds. So,
Yeah, these kids are unbelievable, man. I mean, they're better than you and I both at
mm,
astrophotography, and they know this stuff on a level that it's hard for me to wrap my brain around it that I'm talking to a 12-year-old,
yeah,
because these people like understand a photography on a level that I didn't until I was 31,
yeah,
32,
right.
after a countless hours of working really hard to understand it. And like these kids just school us.
It just, yeah, yeah, that's right.
I
That's
love
right.
that, man. Nothing makes me happier than seeing that. I want the coming generations to just blow away everything we did.
Uh,
Everything. I
oh,
want them to
and
make so much better.
they
And they
will.
are. And I
They
love that.
will. But
That's the goal, right?
yeah,
Take it to the
so
next level.
so let's before we get into your program, which is making space accessible. Okay, let's talk about your journey into this whole thing. You've been at OPT for about 4 or 5 years. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah. So I worked at OPT with Ginny. Both of us moved across the country to work there.
Yeah.
It didn't take much Googling to figure out where you get telescope information. Everything we looked for, we kept finding go to OPT. They have the answers. Go to OPT. So finally, I was just like, what is an OPT?
Right.
Right. And so I called OPT and I started talking to the team there, and they just had answers for me. Right. And
Yeah.
so Then I even shopped B&H in New York, and they told me, go to OPT. If you're wanting to do astrophotography, go to OPT. And so I was like,
Wow.
I got to go to
That
OPT.
says a lot when some a
Yeah.
retailer giant like B&H would
Yeah. A
recommend.
direct competitor.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, and they are. They're
And
a direct competitor.
so they just said, that like that's what they do. And it's true. That's what we do,
Mm,
right? But I get to say we now because we sold our home in Tennessee, moved across the country to work as entry-level employees at OPT, and we did for a year.
yeah.
And we became very close with Craig. I know you're close with Craig as
Oh yeah.
well.
Sure.
Uh, Craig
I've known
Weatherwax,
Craig
man,
since I
there's not
was.
another Craig Weatherwax.
Yeah.
There's only one Craig Weatherwax,
That's
you
very
know?
true. That's very true.
And I mean, he is just an epic individual in every sense.
Yes.
But he took this small camera store over the course of his 42-year time at OPT and made it something that was cherished globally.
Yep.
He made it, he took a camera store that because I mean, you've seen it, you worked there. I've seen the
Oh, you saw
album,
the
the
the old
baby album
pictures.
at
I
OPT.
started
You're
working
in it.
there 1975. Okay.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
and I was
And
shopping. I was shopping it even before Craig started working there. So I remember him doing the grand opening and all this
yeah,
stuff. And wow, I wanted to work there so badly. So
it
they,
was tiny, man. It
yeah,
was
it
a
was.
Radio Shack size like
Yeah.
thing. I mean, literally, what's in the building now that it was in after it upgraded is a Subway sandwich shop. That's the upgraded building from the original building,
That's what's
right?
in the building
It's
right now. Wow.
That's what's in the building now. That was, it started down on Pacific Coast Highway,
Yeah.
and then you guys were there, and then it went to the new one next to where is now a Walmart. There is a Subway shop. That was OPT. That was all of OPT. And then he finally got the big OPT building that everyone knows now.
Yeah.
And then when we took the company, we moved it into the bigger building that's in Carlsbad that you've seen, the one you always call Mission Control.
Mission Control. That's right.
It's a
It
it's
is. It's Mission
it's a little
Control.
more techy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very.
Yeah.
So
But it
you
was just a
you
wild ride what he did, man. I mean, he built something, amazing from this tiny local camera store.
yeah.
He grew it to be the largest in the country, and now it's the largest in the world.
Yeah. Yep. And here you are. So but you've added, whole layers of marketing that OPT never had. Okay.
Right.
Your work in social media, your understanding of the internet, uh, and you have a background as a kind of an internet entrepreneur, right? Uh,
Right.
so
Yeah.
yeah, and so that is something that where Craig Weatherwax was came in from old school, okay, which I'm there too, okay. So to reach the masses of people that you have is really really impressive. Everything from, I mean, you've been, you've done star parties on Times Square. You're running your podcast, your Twitch channel. You're reaching many, many, many thousands of people. And I think that I have to give credit to you and Jenny because I think that uh, you two have really ushered in this kind of next generation or new generation of astrophotographers. You both had this fascination, this hobby in astrophotography. You've done incredible work. You still do. Okay,
Thank you.
so it's not that you're just interested in selling the box. There's people that get into this business because they go, well, we can sell telescopes. They sell the box. They never go home and think about telescopes, and they don't interact with the community like you guys do, and they don't do astrophotography. They finish their job and they go home. They don't want to think about it, which is for you know when I first went into work at Mead Instruments. I met some people that, man, they couldn't wait for it to be 5:30, and they were out of there.
Right.
I was a kid in
Yeah.
a candy store, and so I really loved it, but and still do. Um,
It's not what this should be. I can't think of anything more just fundamentally human than a fascination with exploration and reaching out, right? Like looking for the next thing. That is
yeah,
what is the thing that probably most what is the achievement that probably most humans hold dear? It's probably walking on the moon, not for the United States, but for the entire planet, right? Because I mean, it unifies people, and I think there are very few things that can do that. There are only a few languages that are spoken globally that everyone understands. I think no matter what culture you go visit, they're going to understand humor. They're going to have some language of humor for themselves. They're going to have some language of music. And the only other language they're probably going to have that we all share is a fascination with the stars. And so if this is something that is, so fundamentally important to who we are as a species, I feel like it has to be taken more seriously than to be this far advanced as a civilization. And still, I never looked through a telescope until I was 28 years old. Growing up in Alabama, nobody ever talked about astronomy. I never knew that this was available. And I
yeah,
think most people don't still. It's a failing on our shoulders, right? To make sure that people know that this perspective is available to them and that this experience is available. And I think that as an industry, as, hobbyist, as all of it, I think we've done a good job of really enjoying it and sharing it with each other. But
sure.
I think there are so many people that would love this that have absolutely no idea that they don't have to go spend $100,000. I mean, look at the setup behind you.
Yeah.
Anyone can afford that.
Yes.
And, and still go explore their own neighborhood. And if you ask people that, it's such a simple question. It's like, have you looked at your own neighborhood? Have you looked at your own galaxy?
Yeah.
Most people have to answer no. I haven't,
They don't know it's
right?
there, and it's right out. It is literally right out their doorstep. And
Yeah. Yeah. It's
there's
20 minutes separating them from it, right?
right.
That's it.
We have a pretty good
20
audience
minutes of
watching
effort
us right
separating them
now.
from.
One of the there and there's some astrophotographers here. Chuck Ayub is
Sure.
on right now.
Oh, nice. What's up,
Yeah,
Chuck?
yeah. Wade Prunty's on. Tim Myers.
Yeah.
Tim Myers says bought my 1600 from OPT. Asteroid Hunters is on. Gary Palmer from the UK, he's on.
Hey, that's
George
awesome.
Lucht.
I've got pictures here, and a lot of these guys are in these pictures. But these are some of the Twitch crowd from every night. These are good friends
Oh
and
yeah,
people who spend hours a week with.
yeah, that's awesome. Amy, Amy, uh, Amy the Astro is on. Jason Swassing,
Jazz
and
Whiz.
more are joining. So Steve
Yeah.
Malia from Ontario, Mac Murdoch, science and astrophotography. Whoever that is. Thanks everybody for tuning in today. But Dustin, one of the things I really enjoy about your podcasts and your shows that you do is how well you articulate all of this because a lot of people can't put into words, especially people that are very visual people. Okay, they express themselves
Sure.
through visual representation. Some
Yeah.
astrophotographers have a very tough time feeling, expressing what it is that heart and soul that they feel about exploration and actually, you know, diving into exploring the universe, which is something that you know you've you've done such a fast track. It's unbelievable to me how short of a time that you've spent in this and how far you've come. Okay, so that it's really stunning to me. And so you didn't just digest that and go, wow, this is really super cool and I love it. And I'm going to go to work and then I'm going to do my thing in my backyard and don't let anybody bother me. Okay. You're out there night after night sharing. I mean, your Twitch channel's on from like, I think it's 7 o'clock until how late do you run with Twitch every night?
When I do it, I go from 7 to 10. Tony, he's the co-host of Space Junk Podcast. He does it Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. He
Okay.
generally goes from like 6 to 9. But yeah, I mean, we run it 7 days a week, and it's just a place where if you want to hear about astronomy, if you just want to communicate with other people talking astronomy, like this is a place you can do that,
Yeah.
and it's open to anybody all the time without any locality attached
All
to it.
right.
We've had people from overseas. So one night, I have somebody in Boston running one of my observatories while someone in Pakistan is running another one, and then we're live streaming the third, and it's like this is what it should be. This
Yeah.
is the stuff that should be open to people because now we're exploring together. Now we've got the conversation going, and
Right.
that's really what it should be. And
And you are
you're right,
having a
man. We're not.
real star party going on. So, right.
Yeah, exactly. And we're not wasting any time. I mean, I don't. It's not really in my nature to in the first place. But you've met Jenny?
Oh, yeah,
you
sure.
know,
Right.
yeah,
You
yeah.
guys
If
are a
if
very
I'm gonna if
hardworking
I'm gonna take things to a
duo.
10, my business partner Jenny, she's gonna take things to a 12, and so yeah, we it's a really good relationship in that it like just pushes a lot of things forward constantly. But we think this is worth pushing. It's about more than moving boxes.
Sure. Sure. That's right. That's right. So let's get into uh, the company itself, OPT. What's it like within your facility? You moved from the showroom that was in Oceanside. You're in
Right.
Carlsbad in a larger space. Um, again, yeah, I call it mission control because you see all the long row of customer service people there. You see people that are involved in all aspects of delivering products to, um, uh, it looks like you have some product development going on at OPT
We
as
do.
well. Some of that is happening. Um,
There's a lot going on in that building.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot going on in that building, and so and plus you have your studios in there and all the rest of it. So you really are set up kind of as a modern, a much more modern equipped retailer than a lot of the retailers that I visit. So um, but tell us what a day is like at OPT.
Yeah, and I think that's because we don't really see like it's not an us versus them kind of thing. This is a small industry. I don't have to tell you that. You know that. It's a
True.
small industry and in small industries, you have to promote cooperation more than competition. We have a similar goal. Like you and I share the same goal, which is let's get this out to people because it changed our lives. How much of our time do we spend doing it? Literally most of the time of our life
Hmm.
doing this and teaching this and trying to get other people to see what we've seen with this. So I think that kind of becomes the overwhelming factor, and the only way to get this done is to realize that we you know individually become the limiting factor. We have to take those steps, and so it's really us versus us more than it is us versus anyone else. We're just trying to take our stuff to the next level all the time.
Right.
Whatever we did before, it's not enough. Let's do more, and let's try to find a way to reach more people and to reach them in a more meaningful way and make lives better. If we can do that, then we will have done something meaningful and worth doing. And so my job is essentially just to make sure that I have, the team capable of doing that, which is no small task because we're literally
Uh,
trying to share the universe with the entire world, right? We are trying to put a satellite into space with SpaceFab. We are doing the podcast and building the largest observatory network on the planet, you
no,
know,
wait.
free to use to the public.
You say you're putting a satellite up with SpaceFab.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So we've partnered with SpaceFab. It's actually one of our former employees. But he's an astrophysicist, and he came into my office one day. He's like, Dustin, I gotta leave. I'm afraid I've gotta quit because he's like about to cry. He's like, this is my family, but I've got to leave because I built this particle accelerator on my kitchen table, and it's getting picked up, and now I've got a satellite we're building, and we're going to put a space telescope up. And I was just like, Sean, you lost me the second you said you built a particle accelerator
Yes.
on your kitchen table. And I was like, what are you talking? And how did you're
Yeah.
building a space telescope? He's like, yeah, I'm going to build space telescopes with, it's one of the leaders of another company, Western Digital. And he's like, we're going to build space telescopes and we're going to put them up and let anyone just log in on their cell phones and control these space telescopes.
Oh my
And
God.
Jenny and I were like, we're in.
Yeah, we want to do
So
that.
like, yeah, leave, leave. You're right. You are leaving, but we're in. And he's like, okay, good. That was my next question. Will you partner with us? Because we want to do this. We're
Oh,
like,
that's
yes,
awesome.
yeah,
That is
absolutely.
awesome.
So yeah, we have a 20-inch telescope going into space with SpaceFab that people will be able to log in with their cell phone, pay by the minute, and control a space telescope.
Man,
But those are the ways that it's like, hey, these are advancements. This is a way that you don't have to have access to the greatest club in the world. You don't have to have access to dark skies. You just have to have access to internet, and
right.
then we can share space with you. And everybody for the most part, well, I can't say that, but most people for the most part now do or can get it. Especially with Elon deciding to launch 260 million satellites into
Right.
space to give the whole world internet. So internet's going to
Right.
be around.
Yeah. Yeah. And thank you, Elon, if you're watching this, for making those satellites dark. So yeah. So that's great. And what do you see? I mean, those are some amazing things. I mean, just
Yeah.
and what you're doing right now. But what do you see as the next, let's say, 5 years for OPT?
I can tell you this, man. I've worked with a lot of great people that push themselves hard. In my old business, I worked with professional athletes regularly, and I always was blown away by just, what they had going on up here, man. It's just that mindset that there is no such thing as failure. We
Mm-hmm.
will get through whatever it is that's coming, and we will achieve this. I love that mindset in people. But I can tell you, with everyone I've ever worked with, I've never been around people as talented as the crew that we have right now.
Awesome.
It is I literally I tell them all the time, but it's like I work with all my heroes. I
Yeah.
really do. These people are unbelievable. The team that's been assembled, and it's growing rapidly. But the team that's been assembled, I feel like, are going to make the last 4 years, even though it was very rapid and a lot of things happening, they're going to make it look like it was moving in slow motion because they're primed, they're so ready, they're ambitious, and they're smart, man. And
Yeah.
that's my job, is not to be, I don't have to be the smartest person in the room. I just got to make sure I'm surrounded by them,
By smart people.
all
That's right.
all the time. And I'm telling
Yeah.
you, man, the crew
Yeah.
that's there right now, they love this stuff. They live for it, and they have a vision that matches, the company's vision. And I just think that together, there's going to be a lot of really great things happen for the community, and that's the goal.
Sure. Sure. That's great. And I mentioned kind of at the first part of this conversation, you know, that you must be exhausted because it is, under this unfortunate, circumstance that we're living under, this pandemic. Um, it has allowed people to focus on, if you're into astronomy, to focus on astronomy a lot. Okay. And so
Mhm.
all of the retailers, certainly all of our dealers, and I hear through the grapevine, through, the rest of all the channels, we're all busy. We're all busy all over the
That's
world.
good.
You must
It's
be
really good. Yeah,
crazy at OPT as far as business goes,
it
right?
is. It's very busy, and we're just, I don't know, man. I mean, my heart goes out to everybody that's been affected
Oh yeah.
so deeply by coronavirus. And when all of this started is when we decided to do the Twitch stream. My marketing team had actually been on me about it for a very long time because their logic was, look, they were like, well, you don't even have to do it. You're already doing this every night anyway. We're just asking you to turn the camera on. And it's like, well, that's pretty good, but it's like a pretty massive time commitment too. So I
Hmm.
said no for a long time. But then when this hit, I just, like, I don't know, man, something registered, and it's like, you can't have everybody stuck at home. Nobody's going to be able to go to star parties. Nobody's going to be able to do anything. They're not going to be able to share this experience.
Yeah.
And I think that, like, yeah, it hits me like, what if I lost this perspective? I feel like once this gets in, like the first time you look at the moon through a telescope, that gets in your blood and you can't get it out,
Right.
But what happens when that's taken away by a global pandemic?
Mm.
And so it's not something that we could change, but it's something we could fight against by just giving time and energy and creating access through, the observatories that are already remote and create a safe space for people to still enjoy it. And that's why we've been so, available on like Instagram and Facebook and
Yeah.
Twitch and all of that stuff. And YouTube, it's for exactly that. It's to keep that conversation going because it's a conversation worth having. And I know that right now there's only so much Netflix anybody can watch, you know.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. That's
I knew
true.
for sure when people started talking to me about like some crazy guy with tigers, I was like, "Yep, it's time to get the observatories going.
That's right.
This has gone too
Yeah,
far."
but Dustin, you already had the vision of this. You were talking to me about the remote observatories long before the pandemic became, I mean, we never dreamed that we would be in this scenario. So,
Yep.
and certainly to build a remote observatory doesn't happen overnight. But
Nope.
you have this thing all hooked up, and how many remote observatories do you run now?
So we have four. One of them was unfortunate. So we just sent a big upgrade on the mount. We sent an ME2 mount out to Texas because we're going to put a really big scope out there for everyone
Okay.
to use. And then we have three testbed observatories that we use in landers, but those are mostly for personal use, and we've never really made them part of the project. But you're right. We started working on this project the day that we bought the company. So it
Yeah.
was part of it for us was if we're going to own OPT, we're going to create free access to the universe through it. And so we started working on those observatories then. But we didn't intend to use them for that purpose. That's what the one in Texas, the ones we're trying to build 62 of those around the world in different time zones so that we can tell schools and just people that are interested, instead of looking at a textbook,
Yeah.
here, it's 2 a.m. somewhere else in the
Yeah.
world,
Let's
log
get to
into our
work.
observatory for
Yeah.
free and show the kids the Orion Nebula, show them something and talk about that and explain what that is instead of, looking at it in a textbook. They'll, watch the telescope move. There's a lot of power in that. And if we create that network and if we can make it accessible for free, we feel like that will change a small piece of the world. And that's
Oh,
worth doing.
it changes people's lives. I mean, it really does. The all the time I've been into this, I have seen uh, kids that were belong. We used to have an astronomy club at OPT that I
Mm.
ran for a long time, and one of them, his name's Brian Fox. Brian Fox was like 12 or 13 when he starts getting into it. We take him out to the Anza-Borrego State Park, where we would have the Oceanside Photo and Telescope Astronomical Society star parties. And he went on to study at Cornell. He was able to study, he had a class with Carl Sagan. He then went on and actually did some undergrad work at Palomar 200-inch telescope.
Wow.
So
Wow.
and today I think he's into DNA and stuff like that. I mean, he's just, you don't know what, when you open that gate, okay, with astronomy and have people start really learning, really exploring, and then having these discoveries of these things, whether they're seeing Saturn for the first time or the Orion Nebula for the first time. It's that rush of discovery that goes on inside of you. It triggers things in your mind and opens up all kinds of doors to show you, you know, uh, to let your imagination run and to let you know firsthand that discovery is real, you know, and you're doing it,
It is.
right?
It is. And you can't create success for people, but you can create opportunity. And I think that the more of the opportunity we create, it follows the more success that will come of it, right?
Mm,
And so we want to create opportunity in a direction that we feel like makes things better. And I think that one of the most unifying experiences in all of the human experience is space. It's looking at
yes,
space and sharing that.
that's right.
It's bigger than all of us. The scale alone can keep you spending the rest of your life trying to comprehend,
Right.
and it keep you very busy doing it,
Mm,
right? So I just think that it's something that we feel like those questions, those foundational questions, who we are, where we are, what we are, and then if eventually you get to the philosophical question of why. Why?
Yeah.
I think all of that stuff starts with, probably the oldest of all sciences, which is looking up. Let's do it. Let's do some astronomy.
That's right. That's right. We have some, before we get into your program, I know you have some stuff to share with us, Dustin, but there's some comments here, um, and a lot of comments here. Science and Astrophotography reports he's so happy he just made his first astrophotograph with the
Nice.
DSLR. Uh, Chuck AU mentions that if he wasn't already retired, he'd like to get a job at OPT. He'd love to work for you. Um,
Oh man, the team would get better. The team would get even better.
can you imagine having Chuck Ayub on your
I know. Wish we
astrophotography
did.
advisory team?
Yeah.
Let's see. Just people really glad to be here to see you on the air with us. It's great. Um, uh, let's see, and lots of funny comments here. Uh, Chuck did not know that OPT had been around for so long. Now, OPT starts in 1946, is that right?
Yeah. OPT is older than Alaska and Hawaii were states. Think about that. So OPT, yeah, 1947. So
Seven.
OPT is open for business while the American flag outside only has 48 stars on it.
Right.
That's pretty wild to
There's
think
some
about.
history for you. That's right. That's right. Um, and let's see. Wade says, I'm guessing Scott is not using Cox Internet. I don't know. Hopefully, we're getting a nice feed with you guys today. Uh,
I think he's making fun of mine because there was a period there where Cox Internet just kept crashing all the time on Twitch, but
ah!
we're good now.
Yeah. Chuck mentions, he says, Scott and Dustin are the real deal. Very genuine people. Thank you, man. That's very nice. Um, Amy the Astro, I'm processing an hour data on M16 with the RASA. The data is such a pleasure to work with. Um,
Yeah, that's one of my heroes right there.
yeah.
AE MIDI.
Wade
Yeah.
Prunty says, in Louisiana, we always talk about astronomy at our crawfish boils.
Oh man. He
That's the
brings that
South
stuff up
right
on
there.
Twitch.
Yeah,
Crawfish on newspaper on a table. Yep.
that's right. Uh, Lots of astrophotographers here. It's awesome. Um,
Good.
yeah. What other comments do we have? Any questions? People complaining about clouds, people out there doing work, people processing. The Twitch crowd is here. Um, Mac Murdoch says OPT team! Exclamation points.
Yeah.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah. I definitely have to say hi to Mac because Mac is part of our OPT family. He
That
joined the team just a couple weeks ago, and
oh, that's great.
he's one of those great additions I was telling you about, just making the team better by the day, man.
Yeah, that's
You
awesome.
gotta love passionate people.
Right. You guys still have that book of all the old photos, right? Of
Oh yeah, we've
yeah,
got your
it's a
baby
little
binder.
embarrassing. My hair's long, and
Oh man, yeah.
it's
There's some good pictures of you in there, man. Maybe I should post all of those.
yeah, yeah. You could blackmail me, but I frankly, I don't care. Just put it out
Yeah,
there. It's
yeah, I know you
fine.
don't.
Yeah.
I know you don't.
Yeah. Let's see. Wade wants to know when the OPT documentary is coming out.
So it's not specifically an OPT documentary. It just started because I called a friend of mine, and he lives in Manhattan, and I was like, "Hey, man, I'm going to set up some telescopes in Times Square." He's a medical doctor out there, and I was like, "Hey, I'm going to set up some telescopes in Times Square. You want to come?" And he's like, "What do you mean?" It's like, "I'm going to fly a bunch of the staff out to Times Square
Mm,
and set up the world's largest star party by default, just by setting it up." Right? Just
right.
because there's so many people there already. And he's like, "Well, do you have the city's permission?" It's like, no, we're good. Come on.
We're good.
And so we set it up, and he started making a documentary, and it was pretty wild. We got thrown out by the counterterrorism unit, and
What?
Yeah. So there's like this pretty crazy picture of me, and his name's Steven Swancoat. He's making the documentary Space Chasers.
Okay.
He's actually a really great guy. So he does, these really really nice documentaries. His last one
Yeah.
won like every award globally you can do. But he's been making a documentary on what it means to do exactly what we've been talking about,
Yeah.
to live and enjoy and share space, right? And so um, part of it is that mission to go to Times Square, set up the world's largest star party, and show people space from the most light polluted place on Earth. And that was also where the development of the triad filter came from. We needed a tool to do it. So, we made our own.
Awesome. That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Um, well, Dustin, we should probably get started here. People saying
Okay.
very nice comments about us and OPT, and we want to thank everybody for watching tonight. It's great. We've got an international audience, and that's awesome too. So you're I asked Dustin what the title of his program was going to be, and he says making space accessible, and that's what he does. It's what he lives, eats, and breathes all day long. So, the and for a guy like you to have to run a company, to be at OPT all day, and then to spend 2 or 3 hours with the community every night, okay, that's phenomenal. So my hat's off to you. You deserve to be in some Hall of Fame of astronomy outreach. So
Yeah, well, thank you. I don't know. It feels like to me if people are doing exactly what they want to do, like imagine you're going on your best vacation ever, where the only conversation you're going to have is the one you're passionate about. The only thing you're going to do is something you're passionate about. Then would you say that you want a day off from that? Probably not.
no,
You'd be
no,
like, I want to just keep doing this all the
this is the
time.
flame you're
But
trying to get to. As the
but that's the world I'm living in, right?
yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
talking about what I want to do. I'm living what I want to do all the time. And I'm surrounded by, like I said, I mean, I work with all of my heroes. So it's not something that feels like, oh, I got to get
Oh
away from
God, I
this, man.
gotta.
I
Yeah,
live and breathe it. I
right.
love it.
That's right.
I love it.
All right.
But man, I spent
Okay.
11 years in universities, so I am not a PowerPoint guy. I can tell you that right out of the gate. I don't ever want to look at them again, so I will not be
There is
responsible
something
for
called
creating them.
death by PowerPoint. So, and I've been in
Yes.
those
Yes.
presentations, and you just want to.
Yep.
But
Oh, I know.
let's start off.
No.
I'm going to share your screen here,
Cool. Cool. But we
and
can't go through images.
we have this stunning image of M42 here. It looks like open heart surgery. It's incredible.
M42, I mean, these stellar nurseries are probably my favorite just because there's so much depth in them. And, you can pull narrow bands. You can shoot this stuff from anywhere. I do a lot of my shooting from cities. And as you know, right here between LA and San Diego, it's very light polluted. But, when you're shooting super narrow band, it doesn't
Hmm.
matter. You cut right through it. And especially with emission nebulae like this one. But this is where it all kind of started. And that's why I started here is I just like this was my way to take the experience of astronomy looking through the eyepiece, which is how I started, and creating like an artistic expression from it, is photography. And it's a way to capture and share it. And that's why I've really been given to, photography more than I have visual. It's not because I don't like visual. It's just that it's a way to share that experience,
That's true.
right? And I think that's what's more important to me. So I started trying to push the limits of what I could do. 30-minute exposures, 45-minute exposures. This is a 100 megapixel color camera out in the desert of Row. Shot with a few of our OP team affiliates and stuff like that. Just taking my own photos and trying to just push
Wow.
them. And then the original thought was, well, how are we going to share this stuff?
Yeah.
And so I started doing a lot. When I would get invited to talks, I would do a lot of talks, and I still do them, but I'm a little more, selective of which ones. Like I'm really excited about the stuff you and I are going to do together.
Yeah.
This one was amazing. You can see they had like 6,000 people there. There was a jumbotron, and they were there for space. Think
Wow.
about how awesome it is. They're
Yeah.
there for space to hear space talks. I loved it. It was such a blast. So went to Pennsylvania for that one, but still realized like there's a locality attached to that. And so we really went heavy in our observatory program. And this is a live capture of one of the observatories up and running. That
Hmm.
is a Rasa F2. We do those every Sunday night with Fraser Kane from Universe Today. And I mean, there at any given time, there can be 8,000 people in there watching just live images roll through in color,
Wow.
and so that's what they're designed for,
Hmm.
is to share space. And they're simple buildings, but we wanted to be able to replicate this in every time zone around the world.
Right.
And so that's
Yeah, a
how that
simple
started.
building, but not, an amazing instrument inside. So it's
Right.
really
Right. And so
incredible.
there's four of these from our team right next to each other, out here in the desert in California.
Okay.
That's one of them. So that's the 17-inch plane wave. That's me and a good friend of mine, out there in that one a while back. But you can see these are not small instruments.
Yeah.
So it's not like, oh well, we threw a little telescope, can't see much.
No, no, this is
Yeah,
like
yeah. This
university
is
grade
right.
observatory, with, I mean, look at the camera system and it looks like a huge filter wheel, all set up for remote astronomy. That is quite the setup there.
Yeah, and I won't tell you which one, but when you say university grade, that's exactly how this came to be. What I did is our pro services team at OPT, that's all they do is NASA, JPL, and universities, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so what I did when I was building the observatory is I went in there. You can imagine, I won't tell you which school it is, but the first school that everybody thinks about when you think high-end school, I went and I looked and I said, what did they buy from us? And then I
Yeah.
replicated exactly that in this observatory, down to every adapter, every single piece. And I said, I'm going to give away this to the public.
Awesome.
We're going to have some fun with it, man.
Right.
So, yeah, that's what the observatories look like. You can see like there's a bed on the inside. There's a refrigerator, a TV,
Yeah.
stuff like that. They're pretty cool. Um, and then what happened was I started sharing that with the public, that exact scope. And so
Right.
I allowed people from different countries, this person pictured here with me as well, to log in. And the idea was you're all going to log in together. You don't know each other. You're going to pick one target together, and each of you is going to spend one night shooting it. And then we're going to combine all of your images. And then at the end of it, we're
Wow.
going to have one image from 5 people around the world. And two of those people from that program ended up coming to work for OPT. And this is Shauna. So a lot of you have talked to Shauna. This is Shauna, and that's how she ended up at OPT, was through that experience on a
Oh, that's
observatory share.
cool. You know what
And that's
that's
the
like? That is this. I just uh, I love the YouTube videos where you have musicians in different parts of the world, okay, playing
right.
a
Yeah.
song that a popular song or a beautiful song, and then they mix it, okay, and make these videos. The Doobie Brothers just did one that I saw come out, and I was just stunning, And so this collaborative effort, you have people, they could be from anywhere in the world logging onto the internet through you. Okay, you're making
Right.
all this possible. You've spent, that's not an inexpensive setup. The one that you were
Sure.
showing me with the plane wave, an incredible investment. And you plan to build 60 of these things, and
Mm.
you know, what do you charge people to do this?
It's free. It's completely free.
Free.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's free. Yeah, it's
Wow.
free.
That's
But I mean,
awesome.
that's the whole idea. It's like it's one thing to say, "Hey, we're going to create access," and then it's going to be $100,000 an hour. Pay
Right.
me,
No one can do
right?
it, right?
Th-
So,
that doesn't work.
right.
That doesn't work. So what it had to be is it had to be designed from the start is how do we give free access to people to explore the universe around them? And I think that what it does is it gets people talking about space, and honestly, we feel very confident in our ability to answer those questions. When somebody has a question about astronomy or astrophotography,
Hmm.
we have spent 70 plus years becoming the experts in that field. So we know that it serves the business to serve the community, but more importantly, we feel like it serves our, community in a much, and when I say community, I mean the global community in a much bigger way, to have a conversation about space happening in general. And so, that's the idea. It's more of a grassroots approach to just making a positive change. And we feel like, I mean, look at this. Like, Shauna is one of the best people I know. She's on our team. She makes us better every single day.
Yeah.
This isn't the picture they took. This is a painting of someone the picture they took inspired, named Spinning Infinity on Instagram.
Wow.
She was so inspired by the picture they took that she painted it and then sent it to us.
What?
So,
That's
yeah,
awesome. That is awesome.
yeah. So, really, really cool, man. Really cool.
Cool stuff.
This is one of the live images that rolls in. So when people come in and they want to see, like, well, what kind of stuff can I see? This was live.
Yeah.
So this was 2 minutes. People are waiting, and then they see that. So there's another one. They're like, hey, I wonder if we can see that comet that's up right now. This was somebody that never shot before. They just typed in the name of the comet, hit slew, goes to it, and then there it is in front of
Wow.
everybody.
Oh, wow.
All right.
Great.
So it's a way to really make it fun and have the conversation. Again, just taking photos, getting some color. So then we started the podcast. And
Yeah.
the podcast was like, well, how do we bring industry leaders? Because there's this whole conversation missing. Like yourself, we did multiple podcasts together, and it's so fun to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
And the conversations you and I have on the phone regularly,
Yeah.
I always hang up thinking, man, so many people would have enjoyed that because I just had a blast. Right? But
Yeah.
like, we didn't share that with anybody,
No.
but we could have.
Yeah.
that's what
well,
the
we are
podcast
right now.
And
Yeah.
that's another
That's
one of our
cool.
team here. That's Christian. So he's in the sales team. So those of you
Yep.
that talk to Christian, that is Christian right there.
Mm-hmm.
He's in the studio with me. We were doing a live together.
Awesome.
And then it went to, how do we start serving kids? This kid's name is William. He had never taken a picture, never done any of this stuff before, but
Yeah.
we did a big project with William and wanted to, he loves space. His mom told me that, so reached out and asked him if he'd run the observatory. We sent him a bunch of goodies just to, keep that inspired
Fuel
going.
going.
Like
Yeah.
yeah, you really want to keep that motivation, like keep it all up, and like how do we light this fire for this kid? There's a spark, but how do we set the fire?
Yeah.
And so you make things accessible. And so this was his first image. We took it together, and all I told him was, you have to make every creative choice. I will walk you through this. I will help you with anything, but you have to make every single creative choice. That was his image.
Let's see. Just wait a minute here.
So,
There it is. Wow. Holy smokes.
yeah.
That's
So that
his
was his
first image?
Yeah, that was his first image. He made every creative choice there was. He ran the
God.
telescope. He set up the runs. He did all of it. That was his first image.
Oh my
And
God. That's
I
crazy good. Look at this.
I submitted it in his
beautiful.
name for an A-pod. So,
Yeah.
I hope that he gets it. We'll
Yeah.
see. But I just thought, that's how you light a fire. Give him
Oh,
something
yeah.
that he can share with all of his friends. Give him something that, he can go out and say, look at what's out there. Let's talk
This
about
kid's going to be
this.
proud of this his whole life. I mean, this is
Yeah.
that's spectacular. That's spectacular.
This is something that you and I did together. This is Mr. A.E. Mitty. He's probably watching right now.
Oh, yeah.
I say that he's one of my heroes because he is. But you can see the eyepieces there. They probably look familiar because they have your signature on them.
Yeah, it's building up his biceps. I mean, they're
Right? Yeah. Look how big those eyepieces
oh
are.
my God,
Right?
that's our 92-degree series eyepieces. Yeah, we collaborated on that one. Laser engraved them for him. So yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for doing that too,
No,
man. And
you
that's
too, man.
why
Thank you
I have
for
such love for Explore Scientific is you
uh,
always are the first one to raise your hand and do those things.
yeah, no, it was great. It's great fun. So yeah, it'll be interesting to race ahead 10 years and see what this kid's doing. But
He's going to blow all of us away.
yeah,
He already is. His images now, he has this picture of the moon that's unbelievable.
yeah,
Unbelievable. And so then we have a way to start teaching science and perspective and mixing things and show people like, well, if something is a relative size at exactly that same relative distance, then they look the same size,
uh-huh,
right? And that's how total eclipses happen. And so we can start building images together by images that we take and explaining those scientific concepts,
wow,
right? And so that's what some of that stuff is.
sure,
And then we started leveraging, mainly our friends. Like, hey, look, we're doing the same thing, but let's build an OP team and let's start really just getting this stuff out there. And so we've built it up to where it's a reach now of over 2 million people. Before
Good
that, the
Lord.
largest reach was 60,000 in the
Yeah.
industry,
Yeah.
right? And so now, we just try to get this stuff out. Here's asteroid hunters right here. We just sent them out with, a university system. So it's a 14-inch RASA with a big QHY 600 camera
Awesome.
to just in their goal, their job, what they are obligated to do, share this stuff. Go out there, make it accessible,
Right.
teach people,
Right.
show people how this stuff works, and so it's just one after another whose job is literally just, hey, get people excited and show them that this stuff is possible and how to do it. And it started getting a lot
Look at
more
that. Oh yeah.
traction and gravity to the point where I got contacted by the Boston Celtics, who were like, hey, can we use one of your images for promotion? And so I was like, well, of course, because you're going to be promoting space.
Sure.
Their whole idea was it's all stars, right? It's like,
Yeah.
absolutely, you can use it for free because you're promoting space. And then they were kind enough to like, well, not for free. We're going to give you tickets. Come out to the Celtics and hang out. And so I
Awesome.
went out, saw the Celtics,
Awesome.
and then we're talking space with the Celtics people. And it's like, man, we can really, really share this stuff and make it big. There was the original prototype for the satellite. You can see my face. I couldn't believe it was real. So that was the original back when the space telescope was only an 8-inch. Now it's a 20-inch.
Oh my God.
That was the original prototype. And then we developed the Triad Ultra filter to try to make it accessible to people who are in cities, which is basically a 4-channel narrowband filter that lets you shoot color from a city.
Okay.
That's the back of a camera. So like as you snap the photo, that's what pops up on the back of the camera on the lagoon with the color that's just a regular Fujifilm camera.
Right.
So it's pretty crazy, but that was the design that we use in Times Square, so you can literally shoot that filter from Times Square.
Wow.
It's crazy. And yeah, that's kind of what I've got here, but that's kind of the progression. That's the things we have going on, and that's why is it's all part of the same mission. Is
Yeah.
get this stuff out there, make it accessible, and let's get people excited about this conversation.
That's right. That's right.
More than moving boxes, man. More
More
than
than
moving
moving
boxes. Got
boxes.
to be it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. That I often think about my own career path and trajectory, and I am so grateful to my experience at OPT. I really am. Uh, there was not a moment that I regretted uh, being there or working with the people that I got to work with, and OPT was surrounded by Palomar Observatory, and just a little north is Caltech, and now you've got SpaceX just up north. And I do want to thank you very much for getting me into SpaceX with your connection, and that was a mind. I mean, that was a eye opener for sure. So
Yeah, I mean, you almost got us thrown out in the
I
first
am
30
sorry, I
seconds.
almost got you 86 out of
But yeah,
SpaceX.
man, it took you 30 seconds to get us getting a talking to. They're
That's
standing there like, we
right.
need to explain to you the problem, Scott.
That's right. That's right. But it was unbelievable, and I feel very fortunate I was able to experience it firsthand. Um, there are. It says, "Quick, Scott needs to put Wade on the screen for an unbox." Okay, we can do that. Um, what would you? You've got a good audience here today. What is it that you would like to leave them with tonight?
I mean, I just think it's about, supporting the community, supporting each other, honestly. I mean, this stuff is worth sharing. And
Yeah.
so that's often what I think is the best message. Look, it's not going to be like, go buy OPT. I can tell you that when you support OPT, this is what you're supporting.
Yeah.
And we are trying to get this stuff out there. We are absolutely committed to this mission. You're not going to see it die off. Like I said, over the next 4 years, you're going to see this times a million. That's our goal. And that's why we're doing the hiring we are. It truly is a more than moving boxes message. But I think that what's most important is that if this has been life changing for you, get outside of that perspective for just a moment and think about how very little it takes to make it also life changing for someone else. Because nobody ever says,
Very true.
man, I looked through a telescope and it made my life worse.
Yeah,
Nobody ever says
yeah,
that. I've never heard that. So, so I
that's
think
true.
just
That's
keep that
never
in
happened.
mind.
I have experienced people who were somewhat indifferent. They looked at through a telescope a nice view of Saturn in the eyepiece, and they just go, "Is that it?" I do want to take a little plastic hammer and hit them in the head,
Yeah,
at that point because I'm just like, you are seeing another world, okay?
right.
But people get caught up in their problems. There's some people are very stuck in their perspectives. One of the things I always found about astronomy was that it very easily can give you a whole new perspective on life and the interconnection that we have.
Yeah.
Your, the carbon that's in your body, all the elements that are in your body. Definitely they can trace it all the way back to supernova explosions and the creation of the
Right.
universe. And so it's really it's an amazing thing. And if you can't look up with your just complete and utter awe, then I would just say that you need to spend a little bit more time with it because it will get you. It will get you. And if you can
Yeah.
spend, if you're indoors right now, you're in a city, you've never seen the Milky Way, you haven't experienced the sky, you definitely need to get on Twitch, at Gibson Picks, okay, and contact OPT on how to get involved in their outreach programs. Listen to Space Junk; you're going to love the programs there as well, and stay in connection with these guys because they are going to change the world for a lot of people. And yeah, I'm glad that you just stayed with me for this hour and could show us more about what OPT's doing and where it's going. So
Hey,
thank
these
you.
are always the most fun chats, man. Thank you for having me on. This is always
Thank
a
you, man.
blast.
Thank you. Well, great. And I want to thank all the audience and everything, all of you guys. We are simulcasting on YouTube and Twitch. That came on today. And Twitter, Periscope, um, Facebook, a couple of channels on Facebook. So thanks again. And we'll have you on again, Dustin. So thanks very much for
Anytime.
sharing. Take care and good night, everybody.